Thanks for joining Nancy and I on our 7 days of rolling adventure. We're going to be rolling, teaching you how to use these grippy, pliable massage balls on just about every part of your body, starting today with our feet and lower legs, and on day 7, finishing up with our neck and face. This is a really great self-help tool, help you discover areas that are overused, underused, misused. It's a great self-diagnostic tool that you can use to help roll out all those areas and bring some life back into the tissue. And without further ado, let's start with the feet. We're going to start with a little check-in first, a forward fold. So a deep breath in, hinging at the hips, a little bend in your knees, forward fold. And I just want you to start to notice how the back line of your body feels. Drop your head, a couple head rolls maybe, sway back and forth. Do you feel any tightness in your calves, maybe in your hamstrings, glutes, lower back? How far down do your hands reach to the floor? Nancy's pretty flexible. She's all the way down to the floor there. And then come on back up. So we're going to take the balls out of the tote, and we're going to be using one at a time, standing at either a wall or a couch or a bed, something that you can put your hand on for stability. And the ball's going to go underneath the arch of the foot that's furthest away from the wall. You might want to lean a little weight into the standing leg, and then just start to roll the whole bottom of your foot back and forth, stripping the ball back and forth from your heel to the ball of your foot. Just getting used to the feel of the ball. You're stripping along the big piece of fascia and muscle along the arch of your foot, lengthening and softening that muscle. And then dock the ball mid-arch, get your heel down on the ground, and just start to compress a little weight on top of the ball. So you might feel a nice stretch on this portion on the other side of your foot. Take a deep breath and press down. Hold it for a moment and exhale and release. Do that a few times. That's called sustained compression. So heel is on the ground, ball is mid-arch, and you're just pressing into the ball with a little weight from your body. And then you can start to cross fiber, go across the bottom of your arch. And you're taking the ball all the way to the inside arch and stopping there, and then all the way across to the outside arch of your foot and stopping. Nice, slow rolling back and forth. The key to rolling actually is keeping your breath going and nice, slow rolling. You'll find that that really increases the effect of the balls. Nice passes back and forth. And you're not so much moving your upper body, but actually moving your foot and inverting and everting your ankle so the ball is traveling from one side to the other. And then stop in the middle. Dock that ball right underneath the arch of your foot. Lift your back heel off the ground and pin the ball down and start to spin your foot around and around, pinching and twisting the skin on the bottom of your foot. Nice. You might feel a little warmth here, a warm sensation. You might feel a little pinchy feeling. That's exactly what we're going for. This is pin and spin technique. There's all these different types of techniques that you can use with these balls, and we'll be going through most of them throughout this sequence. And then take the ball and roll it a little forward onto your transverse arch. So your transverse arch is the second arch in your foot. It's right here. And you're going to take the ball and your foot and press down onto the ball, almost like you're stepping on a gas pedal. So inhale and step down, hold it for a moment or two, and then release on an exhale. Again, you're going to feel, or you should feel, a nice stretch when you're pressing down along the top of your foot. Maybe even on the base of all your little toes.
Oh,
then, yeah. And then you can start cross-fibering your foot, bringing it back and forth, nice and slow, really rolling the bottom of the ball of your foot. Now Nancy's not holding onto the wall, but sometimes you might need a little stability here when you're first rolling until you get used to it. And then take the balls to your toes. So here, we're going to try and center the ball on the middle 3 toes. And the object here is to try and grip the ball with your toes, almost like you're going to try and pick it up. Squeeze the ball with your toes. Hold it for a moment, and then exhale and release. This is contract and release technique. And this is telling your body or your ligaments and toes and whatnot, it's okay to relax these muscles and attachments and joints of the toe muscles. Squeeze, hold, and release. Squeeze, hold for a moment, and release. And then roll the ball underneath your big toe and try and get the rest of your toes on the ground and your foot on the ground. And increase the hinge of your toe. And then you can take a small step forward with the other foot and raise the back heel to increase the hinge of your toe. This is pinning and stretching the ball over your toe, or your toe over the ball. This can be a little difficult to do sometimes with brand new balls. They're a little bit harder and they could pop out. Takes a little practice, but you can see how it can be done here very easily once the balls are broken in and you know what you're doing. And then I'm going to take the ball and bring it all the way back to right before the heel bone here, right where the arch meets the heel. Foot should be straight forward. And you're going to press down again. There you go. Press down onto the ball and release. Press down and release. Do this a few times. Now again, if you have a brand new set of balls, they do tend to be a little bit hard, so do take it a little bit easy until they're broken in. You don't want to bruise the bottom of your feet. This is also a great way to break in the balls by rolling them under your feet. You just got to be a little cautious. And then slide the ball all the way so that your heel is completely on the ball itself. Pin it down a little bit and start to do a little tiny wiggle with your heel. For you high heel wearers, this is a wonderful thing to do. All right, and then just a pass along the bottom of the foot just to even it out. Before we go on to the other side, just take a little walk around and see if you feel much of a difference between the foot that you just rolled and the other one. Maybe a little more flexibility, fluidity, strength in the foot that you just rolled. And then we're going to switch sides. So you at home are actually going to be turning around so you have your hand on the wall for balance. And we're going to start again by stripping the whole bottom of the foot, all the way from the heel to the toes, stripping along the length of the muscle, and then stopping it in the middle of the arch and applying a little compression, a little pressure, feeling the expansion on the top of your foot. Compress and release, and then start to cross fiber the arch of your foot. Now make sure your heel is on the ground and go from one side of the foot to the other, stopping on the inside edge of the arch and then rolling back to the other side and stopping on the outside edge of the arch. You should see that ball poking out from the side of your foot. Nice and slow. You have to add a little pressure here to keep the ball in place, but nice slow passes back and forth from one side of the foot to the other. And then stopping mid-arch. Foot is more or less off the ground, and you're docking the ball and spinning your foot on the ball. So you feel all that skin twisting and turning underneath, building a little bit of heat, getting some hydration back into that area, hydration into the soft tissues on the bottom of your feet. All right. And then slide the ball up to your transverse arch and step down on that gas pedal. A little pressure there. Release. Press down. Hold it for a moment or two. Feel the expansion of the top side of your foot and your toe joints. And release. Press down one more time and release. And then slowly start to cross fiber, rolling back and forth along the ball of your foot. Remembering to keep nice, even breaths. Nice, slow rolling. And then roll the ball a little forward onto the toes, centering the ball with the middle 3 toes. And see if you can try and pick up the ball with your toes by squeezing, holding on a moment, and then releasing. So inhale, squeeze, hold for a couple beats, exhale, release. One more time, squeeze and release. And then sliding the ball underneath the big toe, getting the rest of the toes as much as you can onto the ground. Taking a short step forward with the other foot, raising that back heel a little to your degree, don't overdo it. Feeling that nice stretch all along the bottom of your toe into the ball of your foot. You might even feel that's all the way back to your heel. And then put your heel down. Do it one more time, short step forward, lifting that heel up and down. And then bringing the ball back to right where the heel bone meets the arch of the foot. Toes should be on the ground, and step down onto the ball. Hold for a moment and release. Press down, hold, release, and then slide the ball right under that heel bone, one of the hardest bones in your body. Press down a little and wiggle, 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 wiggle. And then a little swipe back and forth on the bottom of the foot again.
Felt my neck relax on that one.
Yeah, you never know what's going to release when you're rolling, because truly it's not always just where you're rolling. It could be above it or below it or beside it or in front or back of it. It's all around. Everything is connected. So take a little walk around and then do another forward fold just to check in and see or recheck. Seeing how now the back line of your body feels. If you feel a little more room, a little less tight, can your hands reach further to the ground?
Yes.
All right, awesome, success. All right, one more check-in before we get to the lower legs here. We're gonna check for our ankle mobility. And to do that, just gonna come against the wall or your table or whatever, forward to it like this, and come into like a runner's lunge. Like you're warming up to go running, and then bend the back knee slightly and move the knee from side to side. This here is moving your tibia bone, which is connected to your ankle, and you can sort of feel the mobility or lack of mobility in the ankle joint right there.
Lack of mobility.
We're going to fix that. And then just simply switch feet and check the other side. So slight bend in that back leg and move the knee side to side. Awesome. All right, and now we're going to bring it down to the floor. We're going to need, if you have a block or two, that would be handy, or a book, thick textbook. You're going to put the balls back into the little tote. And we're going to work on our ankle joint right here. So Nancy, come into tabletop and have one of the blocks by your back foot. The balls are going to go on top of the block, and the ankle is going to come right in between. You want to make sure, actually, hang on, lift up just a little, that the block is a little further back so your foot can hang down. Her ankle is centered right in between the two blocks, and she's going to sit back just a little bit onto her calf, if that feels okay. If you have any knee sensitivity or this is just too much, you can also do this in tabletop. Just come on back out of it a little bit.
I put the second block in front, so I don't have to worry about holding that knee up.
All right, and then we're just going to sit back on our ankle a little bit. And this is called plowing. So what it's doing, the balls are plowing into the soft tissue in her ankle bone, trying to increase the fluidity and flexibility of that ankle joint. And she's going to start pointing and flexing her toe a little bit, her foot, sorry. And then if she can, wagging and waving her foot from side to side, just to get a little motion there. So you just need the height of something. The balls need to be up on something. They can't really be on the floor to do this, only because you want to have some room to move your foot around. And then come off that side, and we're just going to bring it to the other ankle. So you can just hop over your blocks, or however you want to do it. Center that ankle joint right on the balls. Sit back on your calf to your comfort level. If it's too much, just come forward onto your hands a little bit. If it's too much for you, too much pressure, if your ankles are swollen or something like that, be gentle with yourself. And then start to point and flex your foot. And maybe little wagging and waving motions, like she's waving at me with her foot. Hello.
You might need to reseat the ball a few times to make sure it's just where you want it.
Yep. True, and you could also leave a little bit of room in between the balls, make them a little looser in the toe, so there's more room in between them for you to dock that ankle joint. That's also very helpful. All right, you can stop there and simply move the blocks out of the way, and we're going to use the balls to roll the shin. So no blocks. Ball can start, you can be in tabletop again, and start the balls down by your ankle. I find this is the easiest way to do this. And just move your leg back. So the leg is moving back and the balls are running along the length of your shin, your tibia bone that connects from your knee to your ankle. Nice, slow passes back and forth, rolling the whole length of your shin. The slower, the better. Nice, even breaths while you're rolling. This is your tibialis anterior muscle, the muscle that inverts the foot and flexes the ankle. And then you're just going to switch to the other side. So starting, I find it easiest to start down by the ankle and just drag your leg back and forth. No right or wrong way to roll here, whatever feels good in your body. You might have to adjust a few times to see what works for you. If you wanted a little more pressure here, you could line up 2 blocks in a row and put the ball on top of the blocks and roll. Also, if you happen to have the larger set of plus size or the alpha balls, those also work too, just on the floor to add a little extra pressure and cover a little more room. Yeah. Sometimes it's a little difficult to do it on the blocks, but that's why I prefer the floor. It's just options. You just gotta play around and see what works for you. All right. Now we are going to move on to the Achilles tendon. So come to seated, make sure you have a block or 2 near you. Take 1 block, put it in front of you, and actually let's have it the long way here like this, and take the balls and put them on this edge of the block. Come to seated and get that Achilles tendon right up onto those balls. The other leg can be bent like Nancy has or straight out, whatever's easy for you. And we're just going to start to chug a little bit by pushing or moving your body a little bit on the balls. So they're making little tiny movements.
A little bit back so we don't rock the block so much.
Again, everybody's different, finds different ways to do it, right? And then you can start to roll the foot to one side and start rolling the little bony bump on the outside of the ankle. I believe that's the lateral malleolus. And then roll to the inside bony bump, the
Medial.
medial, thank you, malleolus. She's the anatomy queen over here. I just call them bony bumps. Anyways,
That works.
that works, yep. And then roll again here. And then dock the ball right on your tendon there and start to point and flex the foot. And then little waves back and forth. Make circles in one direction or the other. Again, you're plowing the balls into that Achilles tendon, hopefully creating some fluidity there and hydrating that joint. And then you're just gonna switch feet. So move it on over.
You're all set. Nah, it's all right. Everybody can see it.
I think I can see.
Everybody knows where
I'll
they're
put my leg this way and use this block. The balls are down, Achilles tendon planted right in between the balls, and start little chugging motions, stripping the back of the tendon. And after a while, you can start rolling those little bony bumps on the side of your ankle. You can move your whole body if you want, or you can just purely move your legs. See how I'm just bending at the knee and rolling? You don't necessarily have to make it a full body motion.
It's only about 1,000 degrees in here.
Yeah, it's a little hot. Can you tell? We're sweating.
There's gonna be a thunderstorm any second. Yay!
All right, and now the fun part. We're going to roll the calf muscles. So those.
Wait, we need to point and flex.
Oh, point and flex. Yes, thank you. Sorry. I get excited about rolling the calf muscles. I just want to get there. It's one of my favorite things to do.
Okay.
All right. So a couple ways you can do this. You can line up 2 blocks, like a runway, so you have lots of room to move around. Or you could purely do this on the floor. So Nancy maybe could do it on the blocks, and I'll do it on the floor to show you how this works. You can also, if you're lucky enough to have the larger ones, I tend to like the larger balls in this area. So take the balls and dock them right underneath the meaty part of your calf, and just let your foot relax. Let the ball sink in. You might want to be up a little higher to a meatier portion of your calf.
Oh, hello.
Yeah, right there, right? And then if you'd like, take your other leg and place it on top. We'll add a little added pressure here. If that doesn't feel good to you, if it's too much, just move your foot. But I like the other leg on top. And then you can start to point and flex. I'm a sensation junkie, can you tell? Point and flex your foot, the lower foot, the one that's right on the balls. Feel those balls massaging those calf muscles. Now, if you're a runner or like to walk a lot or you're working your feet all day, this is going to feel really good. And then wag it back and forth. Maybe make some foot circles one direction or the other. And then remove that leg. And you can push into your foot in your hands and bring your hips off the ground and start to slowly roll the whole length of the calf. The gastroc and the soleus muscles are there, big honking muscles in the back of your calf that on most people are pretty tight. Sometimes it can be a challenge to do this on your hands with your hips up. It can add undue stress to your shoulders or your wrists. And in that case, if that doesn't feel good to you, you can just put your leg down, put your butt down on the floor, get off your wrists, and just make little rolling motions and reset the balls so you're getting the whole length of the calf. Lots of different ways to do this. Like I mentioned before, I like the bigger balls just because it's easier for me to reach more of the calf muscle. You can bring your foot onto one side and get the side of the calf, and flip it in the other direction and get the inside back of the calf.
If you're making this face, just make sure you can breathe.
Yeah,
If it's too much, just move the balls or take a little weight off.
right. If you feel some pins and needles or something just doesn't feel right, move the balls. Take some pressure off, move them below, above, take them off completely, remove a block. All right, and then we're just going to take it to the other side. So initially, ball is planted right on that meaty part of the muscle. Move a little further right here. Meaty part. There you go. I mean, you can put anywhere that feels good to you, but personally I like to do it right in that meaty part. And then after a beat or two, crossing the other leg over. And start with some pointing and flexing of the lower foot. Nice, even breaths. Wagging your foot back and forth, waving it, making circles in one direction and the other. Whatever feels good to you. Now you could totally do this with one ball, but I'm going to tell you it's far more intense than doing it with two. So if you're just starting out and you're new to rolling, I would definitely keep the balls toted. But you know, feel free to try it at some point on your own with a single ball. And then take the leg off, plant it on the ground, push into your hands, keep that foot really relaxed, and roll the whole back of your calf. The back, on the inside, on the outside. Stopping wherever feels really good and maybe pointing and flexing your foot.
Drooling is good.
Drooling is good. Yep. All right. Now, a little check-in again on that ankle mobility. So bring yourself back up into the wall, into that runner's lunge. Bend the back knee a little and move the knee from side to side. Hopefully you feel a little more fluidity in that ankle, a little less tension. Hopefully at this point you feel like you're walking on clouds and you could run a marathon if you wanted to. Maybe walk around a little bit and see how your feet feel, how your lower legs feel. And rolling your feet, you really should feel it all the way up the back line of your body. Even if you roll your feet just for a minute or two before you run or walk, it's very helpful. Thank you all for joining us today. If you have any questions, feel free to email us or reach out to us through the studio. We'd be happy to answer any questions.
We'll see you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.